little bit behind, so I'll just jump into it. My name is Brian Edelman, I'm the producer for Proving Grounds, and with me is...
I'm Dennis McGrogan, I'm the director on the project.
Alright, so what is Proving Grounds? Alright, so Proving Grounds is an isometric action game, a dungeon crawler if you will, specifically focusing on deep environmental interactions between the player as well as enemies and the rest of the environment. We are strictly not doing something that's focused on numbers or weapons or skills in the primary sense you might think of Diablo or other dungeon crawlers. We're going for more of a game that's focused on the player's creativity and ingenuity and how they actually get out of certain situations and can observe the environment and enemies. Specifically, we're going for a vertical slice. We're thinking about 10 minutes of very highly polished gameplay. And with the environmental interactions, Proving Grounds is a game about skill and not character skills.
So for the audience that we're trying to reach, mainly we're trying to get to people that have played games like Diablo, essentially like the original series that focused a lot on narrative and the style of exploring the dungeons that you're going through. But we are trying to avoid the number crunching, as Brian has said. We're trying to avoid item collection and instead focus on player ingenuity through using items in the environment. So the people we're trying to attract are people who play indie-style games in that they're trying to find something new, even though it's an old style of game. Dungeon crawlers go way back to roguelikes, which are way long ago. But we're going for modern dungeon crawler like Diablo, in the sense of dungeon crawler. So the basic player interactions that we're looking to create, even before we finish in the summer, is just these basic actions: pick up, drop, throw, swing, shoot. And they all seem really simple, but they're the core to what a player can do in this world, and how they can manipulate objects, and how they can bring about interactions between objects. The idea that we have is that all objects in the environment, let's say like a rock, a boulder, a torch, whatever you have, can be used in these different ways. So if you want to cause action, you want to hit something, you throw a rock at that object, at what you're trying to hit. Or if you want to set something on fire, you literally take a torch and like swing it at the object you're trying to hit. So all objects can be used in this way, as long as they're not like too heavy to move, such as large boulder. So another type of interaction we wanted to focus on was the monster and environmental interactions, which basically means that monsters also have basic AI for how they interact with not only the player, but also other monsters. One example we go back to is Bioshock's Big Daddy versus Splicers. If you can just go out and fight the Big Daddy, you can just go ahead and shoot him, but you can also get in the fight other Splicers. And our idea is that we want to take monsters and we want them to either fight each other or have different goals. Say some monsters want to go for fire, in which case you carry a torch and throw it at where you want them to go to distract them. And in terms of environmental interactions, we always go back to this idea of vines, in that the player can manipulate vines by either bringing fire close to them to get them to like go away, or throwing water where they want the vines to grow in order to, let's say, ensnare an enemy that goes near that water. So all this leads to emergent gameplay, or what we want to get out of the game. This example here is Spelunky, and the example that's being shown is that you can throw a rock, but you can also throw a person. And it literally means that any object can be used like other objects, they just have different physics applied to them, and that's what we want to capture. So all objects in our game will be usable in similar manners. It's just what you choose to use in their special properties that determines how they interact with each other. So we want the narrative to reflect a lot of the gameplay, in that we have the idea that we want to focus on dungeon crawler versus very old genre, but we want to change it up a bit. And so our character, we have the idea that the character is going on a rite of passage, and the idea is that the player, the rite of passage is reserved for males in the tribe, but we want the protagonist to be this female character that wants to do the rite of passage and simply does it because she wants to, which is blatantly breaking the old tradition and going in a new direction. And we want to focus on the idea that she has been prescribed ways to interact with the environment, but it's through her own intelligence and the player's strategization that you'll be able to really explore the world. And so this is the UI that we're going for. The top left is our game itself in the current prototype state, which is not too dissimilar for Lara Croft and the Guardian Knight in the top right. The basic idea is that in Warcraft and Guardian Light, we really like the environment, we like the jungle, we like the ruins that it goes for, but we don't want to focus on guns because they can get really limited. We want to focus on environment. So Dead Space actually has a good example for how we can avoid using an overhead like health bars and mana bars and things like that, in that the health is on the player themselves, and so that's something we want to focus on with our gameplay. And in the bottom right is actually a picture of Minecraft, and the idea was that we want to focus on a darker atmosphere that causes the player to think about survival rather than just hack and slash, kill everything in the way. Yeah. So the tools that we're using Unity for the prototype just to build it out. It's very easy to rapidly build out a game. We'll show you, it was easy to model some basic AI and enemies. But what we really want is to use UDK. We're going for like a really finely polished game. We want lighting sources to be dynamic. We want more real physics, and that's why we're going to be using UDK for the Apex physics that it has. Alright, so this is a video of our prototype so far. This basically just shows that the player can interact with objects in similar ways. You can pick up a rock. This is how he interacts with the environment by causing the rock to hit another object. You can also use other objects to cause that reaction, and in this case it was just rocks. But now the player is throwing explosives, and in the same way you can pick up, you can throw it, you can cause a reaction. It's based on special properties that affect how it reacts with other objects. In this case, again, the player can use a torch. The player will be able to swing with the torch and cause damage, which won't be very strong because it's just a stick. The player might want to use a stronger weapon such as an axe, but the torch provides the benefit of adding light to the environment. So the player has to choose, do they use the torch or do they pick up other objects to interact with the environment. So it's all about deciding what will work for you in the future and deciding how you want to play your strategy out. So it's all about the player's own strategy that they want to develop. And in this last scene, the player is running through this arena-style area, and we're just showing how the vines go away from the fire source because they're trying to avoid the fire. We also have small enemies that are attracted to the fire as well, and they'll stay by it no matter what, even if the larger guy is stepping over them. So there's different goals for the AI and what they want to do. And this big guy wants to kill the player in any and all cases, except the player wants to live, so they'll of course fight back. And there's more ways to fight this monster. You could have the monster go to the vines and just get snared in them, and then the player could simply walk away from the fight. So it's all about how you want to fight and how you want to bring about change in the game.
Alright, so moving forward with Proving Grounds, we actually have extensive scheduling for what's going to get done in both summer and then fall and spring. But for summer specifically, using Unity, we're going to be prototyping out the interactions that we're working on currently and really fine-tuning those so we can start building them in UDK. That's also the time when a lot of our designers and people who aren't familiar with UDK will actually be using it and doing a lot with it, as well as seeking art talent, although we've really started doing that over the past couple weeks with great results, because we will need a lot of artists for this. We found a great art director, as well as many 3D modelers who are interested in the project. So for Winter Demo Day, which is a very bellwether day for us, which will inform the rest of the project, we're looking for a playable and polished first level, showing off all of the emerging gameplay that we're prototyping currently, and showing the player choice, which is very important to us, as well as the object interaction tools that designers will be using to actually implement, as well as AI behaviors and how they interact, and putting them in a state that can be observable so players can actually figure out what to use them for. Depending on the feedback we get on Spring Demo Day, although we will be testing rapidly over the semester anyways, we'll really be able to tell where we're going next. So we have a very large team so far. Team Snowstorm is about 21 strong. Yeah, because one of them is off the screen. But he's there, I promise. We have some amazing engineers, some of the best I've ever met. Christopher Barakian, as well as Ali Timnock. We have amazing designers, we have amazing artists. I mean, really, we just need to be green lit and we can go. We need a couple more engineers for AI, as well as a couple more artists, but we can really hit the ground running. Summer's going to be a big time for us. A lot of us are going to be here in LA, and we're going to be working on this together. And then when fall hits, first day, we're up and running, and we're going for it. And that's it. That's Proving Grounds.
about your large project experience and experience these
Yeah.
teams?
Well, I've led a lot of teams before. My name's Brian, by the way. Before coming here, I've done a lot of school leading teams, but I've also worked at a mobile developer where I've led a multitude of people from different backgrounds, artists, designers, programmers, just all over the map. So we're ready to hit the ground running. Dennis, would you like to talk about your experience?
Yeah, I guess more of my experience comes from projects like in the intermediate game project where I did a lot of scheduling and just making sure I hit goals. So the experience that comes from classes like that in terms of making sure you hit the alpha deadline, beta deadline. We think our schedule is well laid out in terms of making sure we hit that winter demo day really hard so that we know in the spring like do we make 2 or 3 levels or do we just stick with like the solid 2? We want that one.
Why use an isometric camera instead of like a third-person camera or something that can get you closer to the player?
It's a lot about how the player wants to strategize using the environment itself. I think if it's third person, you have to explore the territory and just figure out how you're going to fight something before you fight it. Whereas if we have this isometric camera, you can see a lot of objects in the environment while you're fighting an enemy. So if you want to quickly change your strategy, say as like trapping an enemy vines or like hiding behind a boulder before they get you, I think it's a lot easier for the isometric view than third person.
So I have to ask the obligatory size question, although you have such a huge team already, how much bigger is it going to get?
Well, we're definitely looking for more engineers, as Brian said,
Right.
especially in terms of AI, because that's going to be a core component of this. In terms of design, we're definitely looking for more people to help with the narrative. We think we have a solid idea. We have the tribal idea. We got the jungle atmosphere. We have a lot of that, but we still want to break the story really well. We want to get the characters in it.
Okay.
So,
But does that equate to a number?
25. Yeah, I guess
Yes.
good numbers.
I get the general idea.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, that, I don't know if you noticed, Mike and I kind of grown a little bit, having seen projects start in one engine and change to another. So,
Okay. Yeah, that's why we're doing it in Unity right now. Like we like the idea of rapidly prototyping in Unity, but in the summer we're already starting with UDK. That's what we're doing, and we're gonna know what we're doing. Like that's why we want to have pre-production in the summer, just get it done, and not get to the fall and try to figure things out. Even now we have the Git repo set up for our.
I think your design team too, as you pull it together and see. I don't really think you need UDK for this. I know you want it for some of the graphical abilities that's in that engine, but I think from a game mechanic point of view and your POV, I think Unity would actually be fine and may cause you less headaches and get you more polished experiences. Definitely think about that.
Just kind of building off Larry's point, how much of your team has UDK experience already, or 491 experience?
So we have our lead engineer has had 5 months of experience in using that at a company. We also have another engineer who's working on a project in mobile games where he's using UDK as well. The other engineers I don't believe have UDK experience, but they have strong experience in Unity where I'm sure they'll be able to apply a lot of it. But our artists from LCAD, they probably work with UDK, so that would be a huge benefit as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Alright. Okay, sorry about that, everyone. Okay, so I'm Alan Wagner. I'm the creative lead on